everyone, welcome back to this tutorial about scaling large React applications. And in this video we are talking about handling data from your backend, or what we call server data. This can get tricky sometimes, but with the right tools such as React Query and SWR, it can be a lot cleaner and easier. So by the end of this video, you will understand how to fetch and cache your server data efficiently, keep your UI clean and responsive, and avoid common mistakes that slow you down. So let's get started. Server data comes from APIs, and unlike the normal app state data, it can be changed outside of your application. So your UI needs to stay in sync, deal with loading and errors, and update nicely. And you may ask, why don't we just use fetch? This is a built-in JavaScript API that is available in every browser. Yes, technically we can do it, and it will be absolutely fine in a small and simple applications. But if you need something more advanced, for example caching or infinite scroll, then you would need to write this logic yourself. And it's always better to use the existing library that was tested and improved by community, instead of inventing the wheel yourself. So there are libraries that can handle heavy lifting for you, and one of them is React Query. React Query is an ultimate toolbox for handling API data in large React applications. It can deal with tons of API calls, real-time updates, lots of moving parts, such as dynamic dashboards and admin panels. And it's really popular in the community, so you can easily find answers for your questions online. So what exactly makes this library so great? So let's see what we are getting out of the box. First of all, and the most important, it's fetching and caching. It makes it really simple to make an API call, and then it will cache it for us. And then you can decide when and how to refresh the data. You can leave it to sync automatically, for example, when user focuses on the window, or the device comes back online, or on a timer you set, so your user doesn't have to deal with the stale information. And what about mutations? What if you need to add, delete, or change the information on your server? Yes, React Query can do this as well. You can use mutations hook, and React Query will optimistically update the UI and then sync it back to the server, so everything will feel instant for the user. And if you need pagination or infinite scroll, yes, React Query has it as well. It all supported out of the box, so you don't have to write any custom code. And the last but not least, powerful DevTools. It's easy to see what is cached, what is loading, which queries exist, and debug everything in your browser. This can save you hours when something is off. But is there any downsides of this library? Well, probably the only one I could think of is the bundle size. This library is quite chunky because it does a lot under the hood. But for anything beyond the simple landing page or blog, it could be worth it. If you're working on a project that doesn't require super complex data management, maybe a blog or portfolio or some simple Next.js project where you just need to display API data, then the library called SWR could be a good option. So what are the reasons to choose SWR? First of all, it is lightweight and fast. At its core, SWR, that stands for Stale While Revalidate, built with this speed and simplicity in mind. You just need to bring a tiny hook, use SWR, and you get automatic fetching, caching, and background updates all out of the box. It's perfect for simple websites. If your page doesn't have a highly dynamic, quickly changing data, and if it's mostly read-only info, then SWR will be the perfect fit. And it works like a charm with Next.js. SWR was created by the same folks that built Next.js, so it fits perfectly in Next.js workflows or any project where you want the data fetching just to work. So how does SWR look in practice? You get a tiny intuitive API. Usually you just import these, use SWR hook, and pass to it your fetcher function. And that's it. SWR will fetch the data for you on mount, cache the results, and even refetch if window regains the focus or device comes back online. So what are the main benefits of SWR? There is no need for boilerplate. You don't need extra reducers, selectors, or context providers. It's just the hook and the fetcher function. And it is also declarative and readable. Your data fetching logic stays close to the code where it's used, keeping things easy to follow. But of course, there are also some limits and trade-offs. SWR has not as many features as React Query, so you don't get such things like advanced mutations or offline support. It can keep your code base tidy and simple, but if you have a ton of live data and need more fine-tuned control, then you might want to choose something like React Query instead. And when you're dealing with server state, you should remember one critical thing. Let fetching libraries such as React Query and SWR handle your server state. Never ever copy it to Redux or Zastand, because it can lead to lots of bugs and performance issues. You should only store a local state in Redux, Zastand, and others, and the server state should be handled by the libraries that build with this purpose. Of course, sometimes you may need to store some flag, like, for example, is logged in your local state, but avoid storing the entire user data there, because this can lead to double fetching, bugs, and just cluttered and confusing code. And of course, there is no tool that fits it all, so choose and use these tools wisely. Use a local state such as useState and use reducer hooks for your component state that should be isolated and simple. It could be some toggle buttons, models, or individual form inputs. And use the global state, context, or Redux and Zastand only for truly global data. For example, for user preferences or some local app settings. And also remember when it's better to use context and when Redux. And remember that state management is one of the most important parts of your application, and the decision you make about it will influence the entire development process. Now, when we came to the end of this topic, I hope my video was useful for you, and now you know how to organize your state wisely and avoid all the bugs and overhead. And if this video was useful for you, please don't forget to like it and subscribe for my channel. And in the next video, we will dive into type safety and API contracts. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.